when I started this big kind of awakening within myself, like another level, I had this overwhelming feeling for months just to throw everything out. I only live in a little flat because I want to and I like it and it's just suits me, but it was still full of rubbish. You don't believe the number of things you kind of accumulate. And what I was going through was an inner clearing of everything out. What really matters to me? What is relevant? And so much isn't. Doesn't matter. We hold things on within ourselves that don't matter and we get stressed about them. I was going to the bloody recycling tip day after day after day. They're saying, it's you again. Yeah, more stuff, more stuff. After that I stopped because I had nothing else to throw out. I went through a process and, I'm quite a clean fella, but I'm not obsessed with it. But I wanted to clean everything. Cleaning everything constantly. And what I realized that I was doing is I was externalizing what was happening within me. And it was such a wonderful experience to clear out external expression of it, but the inner clutter, to start to realize what really matters. So much that winds us up and diverts us and pulls us into mind and stress doesn't matter. I have this thing. I say to people, if you were on your deathbed and had 10 minutes to live, would what's stressing you now matter? Well, no. Well, the great trick is bring that here into the now and don't let it matter now. Oh, well, what she said about me, it was disgusting. Doesn't matter. She'll say something else tomorrow. What does it matter? All it matters is we are consciousness having an experience. And we know that we're consciousness having an experience. And taking responsibility is taking power back. Actually, we are expressing an energetic, vibrational version of us all the time. It's called vibes. And if we could get into a real deep level of it, we'd realize what I call this magnetic attraction is actually creating our reality all the time. The manipulators know that. If they can bring you into certain states of being, certain states of stress, certain states of fear, they know that by doing that, you are going to generate the vibrational frequency of those emotional states, and you are going to draw other sinking energies, other stressful, fearful, emotional states towards you. And therefore, they're actually creating your reality by manipulating your state of being. They know how this works. And if we take responsibility, as Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. But if we say, I am responsible for what I am creating, what is it about me that's pulling this in? You take responsibility, and what you're saying is, I have the power to control my reality. I've just got to take responsibility for what's happening and then realize why it's happening. And with that realization, the vibrational frequency I'm broadcasting changes, and we stop pulling that kind of thing into our lives anymore. We changed our reality.
And then comes a point when it's time for another stage to arise, where the dream of form is no longer, consciousness is beginning to awaken from complete identification with form. And that is happening to many humans. And this is why human beings are drawn to spiritual teachings, with the awakening from the dream of form. So, who am I? What does it mean, I? What is identity? What does it mean when I say I? What does it feel like? What is I? What am I? Now, most people, yet if you ask them, who are you? They will define the word I in terms of form. They will say, well, obviously this body, that's I, which comes maybe first, and then there comes the mind with its accumulations, its accumulated, its habitual thought movements, its memories. There come the emotions that go with the thought movements, the psychological form of I. So they say, well, I am this body, then there's a name, which of course is just a sound. You say, John, I am John. And many people say they think that's already a big part of who they are when they can say their name. And, oh, okay. And then they add a little something else. I'm an architect. Oh, okay, we're getting even closer to who you are. And I'm a father, which, okay, good. And your age, okay, something. That's, okay, we're almost there now, just need a few more details, and then we know who you are. And so you can put it on a piece of paper, a summary of it, or if you want a detailed account of who you are, you can write down your life history in a book, and it becomes your autobiography. Oh, that's interesting. Now we know who you are. And if that's not enough, and if you think there may be hidden parts of me, then you can go to psychoanalysis for 10 years, and then all these hidden memories and hidden desires and feelings that you had when you were 4.5 years old towards your mother and your father and your grandmother, and what they all come up, and then you can add that, and then, okay, now I've got it. I've got my autobiography, and I've got, that's I'm me, I'm complete now. And then you look 50 years later, which is not much on a universal scale. 50 years is very little. I know that now. I thought when I was 20, 50 years was a lot. I'm a lot older than 50, by the way, but that's the body. The 50 years pass, and what's left of the body and the psychological me, that entity in the head with its history, what's left? Nothing.
This has happened because in so many ways, people have put these things into your mind, what is good, what is bad, what is high, what is low, what is up, what is down. Because of this, you have never paid attention to every aspect of life, in the sense, maybe humanities people and lawyers, you never paid attention to these things. I spend a lot of time paying attention to all kinds of creatures, ants and grasshoppers and worms and everything. If you observe, let's say, an ant, or let's pick up something little more than an ant, like a grasshopper, it's easier to see him. If you look at him carefully, whoever created this grasshopper has paid as much attention to a grasshopper as they have paid to this one. Please pay attention and see. When the source of creation has given equal attention to ant and you, who the hell are you to think an ant is a lowly creature and you are some superhuman being? Why are you making this judgment? Creation has not made this judgment. You may think you're superior simply because you're in a latent manner, you're walking on this planet, but that's not true. The fact of the matter is like this. See, if all the worms on this planet, right now if all of them die, all the worms, in about 12 to 18 months, all life on this planet will cease, everything, including you and me. Suppose all the insects die today, in something like 2.5 to 4 years' time, all life will cease. But if all the human beings die, the planet will flourish. Yes, we make good manure. If human beings go away, right through this building trees will grow, isn't it? Yes or no? Everything will flourish. So, who the hell is telling you that you are the most significant life? This idea that the cosmos is human-centric is a stupid idea. In this cosmos, even this solar system is a tiny speck. Tomorrow morning if the entire solar system evaporates, nobody will notice it. That's how small it is. In that tiny speck, planet Earth is a microspeck. In that microspeck, Bengaluru is a super microspeck. In that, you are a very big person with great self-esteem. This is not a simple problem. People suffer this for their whole life without handling it. Essentially, it is just this. You have gotten yourself into a place where most human beings are in this place, you get yourself into a place where you cannot handle your own thought process and your emotion.
I had been working my whole life And what I didn't understand, by being determined to chase something, by being committed to it, and what commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you have set it in has left. You see, people think commitment is saying, yes, I'll do it on the days when it feels good. But I have been committed to everything that I ever started in my life, and I never stopped and I never quit it. And so by being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit. It built a certain type of mentality. It built a certain type of individual. And so now I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much sweat equity in my life and everything that I was doing.
You cannot have relationship without reciprocity. You cannot get into a relationship to get and not give. And I want you to ask yourself, do you give as good as you get? Add up what you're getting and weigh it against what you're giving, and then you will know whether you're really joined to anything.
Because I understood my existence wasn't about me. I went from me to we a long time ago. I understood the process is more important than the product. It wasn't about the outcome for me. Whether I made it to the NFL or not, that was inconsequential in God's plan for my life. But I was going to fall in love with that process, because I understood by falling in love with that process, it was going to turn me into a machine. You see, a lot of people need things to get motivated. A lot of people need a little extra money to get motivated. A lot of people need, whatever the case may be, a little bonus to get motivated. I don't need anything but breath in my body and life. You see, the thing we have to understand about everything that we're a part of, first and foremost, it's a blessing by God. And when it's a blessing, you can't help but to give everything you got to it. My life got saved. I got spared my life.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working. Keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
Yeah, people that come to work, they take a job, they're not committed to the job, they want the check. They want the check. Well, everybody wants some money, baby. I'm just here for the check. That's why it's not going to work for you. You don't understand the reciprocity. Anybody wants some money, but if you're not willing to give at least as good as you get, it will not last, and that's why you can't stay anywhere or work for anybody, but you've never been joined to anything. So you collect anniversaries, you've got a lot of birthdays, you've got some plaques on the wall, but you've never been the person that you could be, because the could be is locked up behind commitment, and until you're committed, you'll never get the could be.
Because when you start looking at giving your best at all times, that's not easy. But when you are committing yourself to doing something, those are the standards that you set for yourself, because that's who you are. If you're working on a job where you're miserable, they're not paying you what you're worth, and you're dissatisfied. If you have decided to continue to take a paycheck, you owe it to yourself to give it your best effort. If you get in the habit of being mediocre or doing just enough to get by, you're not hurting anybody but you. You're cheating you.
The moment that you commit yourself, then all unforeseen incidents, people, things that can happen that are positive begin to come your way. And basically the whole thought was the fact that nothing comes to you until you commit yourself.
There was a man who was an efficient builder. He had worked for years in a large company and had reached the age of retirement. His employer asked him to build one more house. It was to be his last commission. The builder took the job, but his heart was not involved. He used inferior materials, and he failed to see the many things that should have been clear to him had he shown even his normal interest in his work. When the house was eventually finished, his employer came to him and said, "The house is yours. Here's the key. It's a present from me." The builder immediately regretted that he had not used the best materials and engaged the most capable workers. If only he had known that the house was for him.
Half studied, half worked, half labored, and then wonder why I thought I'd be further than I am at the age. Let me tell you why you are not further. It is not the devil, it is not witches, it is not demons, and it's sure God ain't haters. You are not any further than where you are right now because you have never thrown your whole self at anything in your life. And you think greatness goes on sale, but true quality never goes on sale.
Live each day with integrity. Don't try and get over in life. Don't try and cheat. See, a lot of people like to try and cheat. Don't try and cheat. Say, well, you know, this little bit won't count. Everything counts.
To be connected, to be focused, to be committed. That is something we don't see anymore. You've always been casual and never been committed. And some of the most casual people are talented people, because talented people will lay on their talents and use their talent as a camouflage to cover up their lack of commitment. And because you're talented enough to be able to float by on broken pieces, you will fool an indiscriminate eye into thinking that you are committed. You're not committed, you're just talented. You'll never know what you could have been if you would have really committed yourself. You're just talented enough to get over. And you faked them out. You've been at 30 or 60-fold when you were created to be 100-fold person. I can't be committed to everything. I can't join everything. I can't be married to 1,000 women. I can't work 1,000 jobs. I can't join 5 churches because I take my commitment too seriously to spread it around loosely.
Success brings envy. So don't be surprised when you start doing well, you start losing some friends. Suck it up and keep moving on.
Human beings are the only life on earth that has this incredible capacity to change the course of your life. No other life form can do that. Every other life form except humans seems to operate simply by instinct and the genetic code. In the winter, the goose flies south. How often? Answer, every winter. If you said to the goose, hey, it'd be better this year to go west, he ignores that advice. And the reason is because he cannot make choices and listen to advice of something that might be better. He has to obey instinct and the genetic code. But now jot this down, not human beings. Human beings can alter the course of their life. Human beings can live one way for 5 years, tear up that script, live a totally different way the next 5 years. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. Someone says, how did you do that? Here's number one, I discovered I was not a goose. Someone says, don't you have to do the second 6 years like you did the first 6 years? And jot this down. No, you don't have to live the second 6 years like the first 6. You can use all the information and all the advice and repairing all of your mistakes and adopting a new and refined philosophy so that the next 6 years can be totally different than the last 6. No other life form can do this. See, if you were a tree, you'd be stuck. As a tree, if you used up all the nourishment that was around you and you couldn't change location, see, you would die. But that's not true. Human beings can change location. Go north, south, east, west, live here for a while, live somewhere else for a while. So that's a note to make. You can greatly alter the course of your life. Now here's the next note to make. 5 years from now, you will arrive. The question is where? This is for mature people now. If you keep up your present disciplines and keep up the present pace that you're on, where will you be in 5 years? Boy, it's easy to say, hey, I haven't really thought about that. So now make this note. In 5 years, here's the probability. You will either arrive at a well-designed destination or an undesigned destination. well-designed or undesigned. And I promise you, 5 years from now, you really don't want to arrive at an undesigned destination, because you may very well wind up wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, living where you don't want to live, maybe doing what you don't want to do, simply because you didn't design a better destination.
Here's a habit that I do. Maybe it might be of some value to you. I get up in the morning and I start writing what great ideas that I can think of today that can improve me and that will enable me to reach my goal. And I just let my mind flow. Sometimes I write 15, 20 ideas. Some days it's more difficult than others. One idea can change your life. One idea can turn your life around. Deciding that you're going to focus to develop your skills. The guy was the new owner of a baseball team that was in the basement of the league when he took it over. He went to the pitcher and he said, "What is your best throw?" And he said, "Well, I got a good curveball and I've got a good fastball." And he went on talking about his different throws. He said, "But tell me this, what is your best throw?" He thought for a moment. He said, "I've got a good fastball." He said, "That's all I want you to work on. Nothing else. Just develop your fastball." The next year, they went to the World Series. Most people don't know where their fastball is. Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents. They have skills and abilities, but if you don't nurture them, if you don't develop them, they will never serve you. Your gifts can take you many places if you develop your gifts.
This one simple principle will change your life. It doesn't cost any more energy to think big than it does small. We wonder why we don't have any strength, why we can't get ahead. It's because our thoughts are limiting us. You can't think defeat and have victory. Your life is going to follow your thoughts. Be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. Your thoughts affect your actions. Then your actions, in turn, translate into whether or not you succeed in your career, relationships, and life. Your thoughts also play a part in your values and beliefs, which influence the quality of your personal relationships and how you view the world at large. It's important that we don't get caught up in only thinking positively. You can sit in the garden of your mind telling yourself there are no weeds, but to build a truly fulfilling life, you need to stop covering up the weeds with positive thinking and pick them instead. You need to get to the root of what's holding you back and cultivate an overall positive mindset that doesn't ignore negative emotions, but knows how to control them. Do you blame others when bad things happen to you? Or do you look to yourself for the solution? When you take responsibility for how you think, act, and feel, you have an internal focus of control, and that's a key trait of successful people. This type of thinking lends you a deep belief in yourself and a positive mindset that allows you to get up and start over after a failure. From there, everything else in your life can fall into place. Remember, the only thing in life you can control is yourself. You can't control every event, but you can control how you react to them. Your mindset governs what thoughts flow through your head and how you feel and react to each one. If your mindset is poor, everything around you is going to seem all the worse. For example, you're at the airport and are unnecessarily delayed while going through security. Then the airline attendant checking you in is rude to you. Another airline worker overhears, apologizes, and bumps your ticket up to business class. Once you're in the air, are you fixated on the hassles you face in the airport, or are you grateful for your spacious seat and free cocktail? Do you think of the delay as wasted time, or as a way to take time and reconnect with yourself? Do you automatically revert to the power of positive thinking, or do negative thoughts take over? You can choose to focus on the negatives or the positives of this and any scenario. But if you choose to focus on what's bothering you, it will begin to negatively impact your life. You'll also attract more negative situations. You may punish your partner or others for not living up to your expectations, eroding your relationships and adding to more bitterness. By consciously choosing to focus on positive moments in your life, you'll begin to reframe your thoughts, cultivating an abundance mindset that is grateful and open rather than negative and closed off. Study your habits and form new ones. You can't form new habits and harness the power of positive thinking if you're unaware of your current ones. Are there things that set you into a negative spiral of self-doubt? Do you react to situations openly, or do you utilize defense mechanisms? If so, what are they? Perhaps you become agitated whenever you start thinking about going after a promotion at work. Your thoughts take you to a dark place, and positive thinking goes out the window. You begin to question your skill set, and then you wonder if you'll ever move up in your field. Maybe you'll just quit. Think of all the time you're wasting by falling back on this negative habit. Self-doubt is almost always rooted in fear, often the fear of failure. Doing something and failing seems like it would be unbearable, so your mind comes up with all sorts of reasons as to why you won't even try. If you give in to these negative thoughts, you might not fail, but you will stagnate, which is worse. As Tony says, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you fail, at least you can learn something. If you stagnate, you won't. What if, instead of getting swept up in a pattern of negative thoughts, you refocused your energy and developed empowering habits that use positive thinking? Stop the spiral of doubt by blocking it with positive thoughts. If you're able to cut off a negative thought pattern before it gets out of hand, you can shift to recalling positive affirmations instead. By training your mind to block negative thoughts with positive thinking, you're steadily training yourself to stop thinking in a negative way. Fear won't rule you anymore. That's the power of positive thinking.
If you think that people can win just by avoiding failure, then you need to think again. Actually, the real winners are those who learn how to respond to failure with positivity. You need to get to the root of what is holding you back and cultivate an overall positive mindset. We wonder why we don't have the strength and why we are not going ahead. It is just because our thoughts are limiting us. Your life is going to be based on your thoughts. Therefore, you need to be careful of what you think. Positive thinking gives you the power to control the situation and circumstances, and negative thinking gives the power to the circumstance to control you. Your thoughts play a part in your values and beliefs, which influence the quality of your personal relationship and how you see the world. If you have a glass half empty mentality, then you will keep pointing out the drawbacks of achieving goals, and in the end, you will remain stuck in the same situation. Positive thinking creates certainty in an uncertain situation. Imagine if things are not going in your favor and you think that you are in hell. Let me ask you a question. Why would you stay in hell? You need to get out of it as soon as possible because your destination is not hell. It is heaven. Positive thinking allows you to become such kind of person whose focus is on a solution, not the problem. Remember, your thinking is very important. Whatever you think, you become. The strongest power of positive thinking is that it lets you to do everything better than negative thinking. If you understand the power of your thoughts, then you would never ever think a negative thought, because negative thinking not only ruins your career, but it also ruins your life. When you become a negative thinker, it even becomes hard for you to reach your destination by going through straight roads. On the other hand, if you are a positive thinker, you will find a way even through mountains, and ultimately, you will reach your destination. That's the power of positive thinking. It is easy to go through life, holding on to the things that are weighing us down, like guilt, resentment, doubts, stress, and depression. But the problem is, when we allow these things in, they take over the space for the good things that should be there. Imagine that your mind is like a container, and it is created to be filled with joy, happiness, and success. But if you allow worry that pushes out the peace, imagine how your life would be. One thing you need to keep in mind is that there is no space for both. Your thoughts become your words, and ultimately, it becomes your reality. Wherever you are standing today, it is just because of your thoughts and what you have said about yourself. Words are like a seed, so you are giving life to what you are saying. If you continue to say it, then it will eventually become a reality. Whether you realize it or not, you are predicting your future. Your life will continue to move on the routes of your thoughts. If you are building up a positive mindset, it means that you are giving powers to yourself. Those people who always think that they will never get out of debt will never get a good shape, and they are unable to achieve their goals. They have been stuck in the same situation because they are not even trying. They don't realize that they have the ability. They can achieve anything if they want. Let me give you an example. The eagle flies so high without any fear of falling, and no storm or rain or anything else can become a hurdle in their way. It is just because eagles believe in their strong wings. In the same way, if you believe in yourself, trust me, nothing can let you down. If you really want to be happy in your life, then keep your heart free of hate, keep your mind free from worry, and always think the brighter side of anything you are going to achieve. Whenever you start thinking positively, you are halfway there. Do you always blame others for your failure? Or you have the audacity to take responsibility and find the solution to every problem? You need to build up a mindset that even though the problems are big, you are strong enough to overcome those issues, and you will soon get of you all these problems. Your positive thinking will change your whole day, and you will start believing that you can achieve your goal. If you build a positive mindset, then it will change your whole life.
The hardest person to forgive can be yourself. As powerful as it sounds, forgiveness is the biggest gift we can give ourselves. But it's not an easy one to attain. People who withhold self-love often find that they are constantly at war with themselves. So when things go wrong in a relationship, it leaves them feeling unfulfilled and unloved. Having the punishing feeling that we have done wrong things in the past makes it difficult to forgive ourselves. This self-punishment we inflict upon ourselves means we are constantly holding ourselves accountable because we don't want to repeat the same mistake that has hurt the people that we love. Unfortunately, this negatively critical mindset will not do us or our loved ones any good. On the contrary, it will make us feel disconnected. It also breeds insecurity, fear, self-rejection, and self-hatred. These poisonous feelings stop us from finding true happiness and love. Humans, by our social wiring, are born to connect. We crave to belong, to love, and be loved. In this equation, the presence of another being or situation results in pleasant and unpleasant experiences. While we feel loved by them, we can also feel hurt by them. And feeling hurt, dejected, disappointed, or wronged is exactly the space we enjoy in our lives. When you forgive, you're instantly released from the emotional attachment that brings pain and suffering to you. With this release, the flow is released in your life as well. And in this process, you're ushered forward in your life towards new possibilities. Forgive someone who has hurt you today. Just do it. Give yourself the gift. Do it for you. Unburden yourself from the toxicity of holding on to unforgiveness. Don't let it steal your peace anymore. Challenging emotions, including guilt and shame, can fuel addiction. However, when you learn to confront these feelings with self-forgiveness, you begin the process of healing. Learning to forgive yourself gives you the power to confront your past and let go of the memories that are caged within you. It can be great to have alone time, to have a bath, to cook ourselves a nice meal for one, but this isn't self-love. It's more self-reliance and self-sufficiency. Self-love, on the other hand, is inextricably linked to self-esteem, it being our ability to see ourselves as a flawed, imperfect individual and still hold ourselves in high regard. Self-love is the ability to not fall into a puddle of shame or self-hatred even when we mess up. It's trying new things knowing that we could fail without thinking of ourselves, therefore, as failures. Self-reliance is often something we develop because we have to. It can end up becoming second nature and can be a great skill that helps keep us going when we feel like we're out in the world on our own. But when it comes to self-love, it can often feel more challenging, more conscious, and less automatic. It is hard work. It looks like constantly speaking against our inner critic and trying our best to unlearn the countless unhelpful messages we've received. It is noticing when what we are doing is more self-reliance and questioning the often internalized belief that all we have is ourselves to depend on, that we would be bothering others if we were to ask for help. We all struggle loving ourselves, trusting others, coping with our emotions, communicating effectively, understanding ourselves, honoring our potential, and feeling relatively authentic, confident, and unashamed. And we beat ourselves up for not nailing these things 100% of the time. If we let others into the less filtered parts of our lives, we would notice that we're not alone in any of these struggles. So challenge yourself today by letting a loved one, a friend, or a colleague in on what might be really going on for you. Have that vulnerable conversation. But forgiveness of ourselves means having compassion for ourselves. And having compassion means being kind to ourselves. It means reminding ourselves that we are only human. Sometimes we will lash out at people who mean the most to us. Sometimes we will say or do the wrong things. But that's okay. Life wouldn't be interesting if we always had it together. It's about acknowledging how you feel about the situation, reminding yourself that you are only human, that so many others have also messed up and feel terrible about it, and remind yourself that you're worthy of compassion and of forgiveness. Today, I'm forgiving myself for not getting enough sleep, which caused my anxiety to rise as well as my irritability towards others. Today, I'm forgiving myself for taking on so much and often feeling like I want to quit. And today, I'm forgiving myself for being so hard on myself when things don't go my way. The people that love us the most will always forgive us when we mess up. We deserve to forgive ourselves as well. We deserve to be that trusted place for ourselves when we fall short. We deserve to be the person that loves ourselves so much that when we feel like we didn't do our best, we can provide comfort to ourselves rather than criticism and judgment. Try giving yourself a break today. You're doing the best you can, and I can assure you that it is enough. So if you've messed up and it's tearing you apart, it's okay. But remember that you deserve forgiveness to continue on this beautiful life that you have been given. At the end of the day, what truly matters is that you can recognize your mistakes and correct them. With the endless possibilities of recovery, you now have the opportunity to seek forgiveness from yourself and others. You get to stop the cycle of shame and guilt and forgive yourself. Self-love and forgiveness is the key that unlocks the doors of recovery.